Greetings folks, Dan Mack here from the Shred Shack. Today, I'm heeding the call of the West Coast and once again diving headlong into unfamiliar territory by looking at the new full-length release from Sterile Jets. Although there undoubtedly exists a handful of terms and phrases that are intended to classify a band like Sterile Jets, I would think that noise rock would be the ideal, as it encompasses influence from several of the more abrasive styles of music, and elicits thoughts of the likes of Sonic Youth, the Velvet Underground, and the Stooges. While I can't say I've ever had much of a liking for the first two acts, I can acknowledge their influence on their craft. As I stated, this is unfamiliar territory for me, and I don't want to say that I went into this with a mindset that would have given the band a disadvantage, since I do my damnedest to keep an open mind on things, and honestly I wasn't sure how I would take to this one, but let's just dive right into No Gods, No Loss. Within the first 30 seconds of album opener The Arsonist, the band has demonstrated what can be expected musically. Feedback and a steady rhythm pierce the silence before the fuzz-laden guitar and bass build to a point wherein one dominates over all, ringing out raucously over the frayed backdrop. Theirs is a style that is sonically raw, yet structured, focusing far less on frenzied playing and more on what is coming out of the speakers. Not unlike, say, the Misfits in their heyday, the instrumentation of Sterile Jets sounds largely like Static, though they boast superior production when compared to that of the legendary Jersey Punks, and play at an overall lower tempo, more so aligning themselves with that of stoner rock or even doom metal. Over all the fuzz resides the vocals of guitarist Robert Bly Moore and bassist Bill Partnoff. I'm honestly not sure which one is which, though it took me some time to be able to really differentiate the two. On the one hand, one voice comes across like a blend of the nasally side of Bon Scott and the delivery of Chuck Mosley. And the other like a belligerent Glenn Danzig, especially in the case of album closer Olive Spoil. Like the music, it is the absence of melody that makes the vocals, in a way, charming. While it does sound like they're yelling most of the time,
no, I can't stop yelling, cause that's how I talk!
It isn't to the same degree as hardcore, or perhaps more closely related indie acts in the vein of At the Drive-In. It is acerbic without being off-putting, and actually fun without sounding tongue-in-cheek. While the various elements that make up the band's sound are appealing on paper, as a whole, the product feels underwhelming. Aside from one or two tracks, the album lacks diversity, which makes it difficult to determine where one track ends and another begins. It wasn't until I started writing my notes for this review that I even looked at the track listing to figure out how the songs were split, since the only point of reference is the brief spoken track at the halfway point. Credit where credit is due though, as they have at least inspired intrigue in an outsider like myself. The album cover is definitely interesting, and particularly unassuming for their style of music. The lyrics, when coherent, prove interesting with a bluntness and delivery that accentuate their sincerity. The production value proves better than anticipated considering what is expected of the genre, and allow a lot of underlying grooves to be heard amid the distortion. I'm inclined to say that bands like Sterile Jets are not for everybody. Personally, I'm stuck in the middle with this band, as I don't dislike what they offer here, but I can't say I'm inspired to seek out more like them. They aren't necessarily accessible, and while I can respect that element of their motif, it also happens to keep me personally at a distance. So those are my thoughts on No Gods, No Loss by Sterile Jets. If you agree or disagree, you can let me know in the comments below or on our Facebook page at facebook.com/theshredshack. If you're interested in checking the band out, their latest single is available for streaming and or purchase at sterilejets.bandcamp.com, where you can also purchase the album when it comes out on May 4th. Until next time, I'm Dan Mack, and I bid you adieu.